No place like the Q. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna Deshawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. In 2021, Ricky became the first Black trans male artist to land #1 on any music chart.
I believe that I've experienced too much in my life, my personal life, my journey to get here, to not fully embrace who I am, to not show up proudly, authentically, whether it was poetry, whether it was rapping, whether it was any form of art. My words carry power. I don't know how, but I know who. I'm a very spiritual person that sometimes you don't know how God gonna do it, when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, but I know who's in control of it.
Family, let me tell you, Ricky and I had a time during this interview, okay? He shared his affirmations with us, his struggles with grief, and why he chooses to live out as a trans man when honestly, he doesn't have to. We get into it all, and this interview is already in your feed right now. So if you haven't listened to it yet, definitely pod in after you listen to this episode, because I think it's really great. And if you want to watch it, the interview is up on our YouTube channel. Also, family, don't forget the Queer News tip line is always open. Send in your story ideas you think I should cover, people, places, things. I love when you send those in because often I have not heard the story and I want to share more. So please send in a Queer News tip. Information is in the show notes. And QCrew, what's going on, family? Truly, thank you. Thank you for your continued support of this podcast. We really couldn't keep doing this without your support. We don't have any major sponsors. We don't have any major brands. It is me and you. Ooh, baby. I mean, it is just like that. So please, if you don't give, please consider joining the QCrew. Okay, it starts as low as $5 a month. So family, if you believe in the work we do, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, if you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, please join the QCrew. You already know what the link is. It's in the show notes. Now for the news. We have an update in the Sam Nordquist murder, and we remember another trans sibling, Elisa Rae Shupe, today. In politics, Maine's governor stands up to Trump in his face. It was fierce. I watched it for myself. I can't wait to tell y'all about it, okay? Now, in culture and entertainment, we have a news story from our tip line. Yes, Raquel Willis is named a Woman of the Year. And Brittney Griner backs out of a speaking engagement because of a threatening message in her hotel room. Let's get into it. Family, for our top news story today, last week we remembered Sam and Tahiri, two trans siblings of color who were tragically killed. I have an update on Sam's investigation. New York State is charging 5 people, involved with second-degree murder. Second-degree murder is interesting. It feels like it should be first, but I'm no legal expert, okay? But what I do know is that they're reporting that this will not be charged as a hate crime. It won't be charged as a hate crime because they knew Sam and the people involved identify as LGBTQ. Now, what I want to tell these officials is that self-hate is real, internalized homophobia is very real, and this could still be a hate crime even when it's committed against somebody who's in your own community. But alas, that isn't the precedent that's been set with hate crimes legislation, and so likely this won't be charged as a hate crime. Family, this story is just so dark, the more that comes out about the torture that Sam experienced, and that is something that I just can never understand or relate to, that there's this darkness that lives within some people that would allow them to treat another human being the way that they treated Sam. Elisa Rae Shupe, we speak your name today. I do want to provide a content warning here because this story will mention suicide. So I'm going to give you all a few seconds, yes, to fast forward to the next story if you need to pass this one up. I learned about Elisa's story from Sue at the Pittsburgh Lesbian Correspondence blog, and you've heard me mention this blog many times. If you don't read it, please go support Sue and her work. It is really intentional. It's really important to the canon that is LGBTQ news, what Sue is doing. And the title of her blog is I Knew Elisa Rae Shupe and She Deserved Better. And that really caught my attention. So I immediately started reading. And after reading her blog, I went to the internet to learn more. I wanted to learn more about her. I learned she was a military veteran who served for 18 years. I learned in 2016, Elisa fought the US government, won a huge victory, and became the first person ever to receive legal recognition of the non-binary gender marker. She was the very first. She fought, she won, and she was attacked. She decided to actually detransition in 2019. Then she became a pawn of the anti-trans hate machine. She caused harm. Then in 2022, she reclaimed her identity later and published a blog telling her story and fighting back against conversion therapy. She looked to repair the harm she caused. She leaked over 2,600 pages of emails between her and leaders of the anti-trans movement, some of the highest ranking leaders within the anti-trans movement. Well, on June 27th, she took her own life in the VA parking lot. She was found with a trans flag draped over her face and her body. Upon her death, she sent a scheduled letter to news outlets in hopes they would actually publish it. None of them, hear me, none of them published it. So we will publish it. And I'm going to read it in its entirety today. This email was sent at 11 a.m. Monday, January 27th, 2025. This is the message from Elisa Rae Shupe, the first person to obtain a non-binary gender transition to the Trump administration. Fuck you, America. I don't want your hatred. I don't want the military decorations and medals you awarded me. I don't want your pension money for my distinguished military service and service-connected disabilities. I don't want more psychiatric ward commitments to keep me alive in a nation that I despise. I don't want to be buried in any of your state or national cemeteries for veterans and military retirees. I don't want to be buried anywhere on American soil. I don't want any military honors or ceremonies to mark my death. I don't want any ashes to be stored on American soil. I want my ashes or remains to be spread or buried in international waters. I don't want your flag anywhere near my body, remains or ashes. I don't want any members of my family other than my spouse to be on the vessel that disposes of my ashes or remains. My death is not a surrender. My death as a member of the third gender and transgender population does not mean you won. It solely marks the end of our association. You are not the land of the free. You are not a country getting made great again. Too much demonstrated hatred throughout your existence extinguishes any claim to previous greatness. You are a cesspool of zealots that worship a God that does not and has not ever existed. Enjoy your new royal family and third world dictator. I refuse to participate any further. Have that Nazi piece of shit, Elon Musk, and his Doge henchmen deduct the savings from my $93,000 of federal pensions from your bankrupt coffers. The white man disseminated and massacred the indigenous populations of the third gender on the lands now called America. It was only fitting that a white person restored it. You cannot erase non-binary and transgender people because you give birth to more each day. Elisa, thank you. Thank you. And I hope you have found some peace that you could not find on this plane. For our last story in politics, I'm sending love and support to Maine's Governor Janet Mills, okay? Maine, are you listening? If you live in Maine, you should be calling the governor's office right now and letting them know you stand with her for standing up for trans kids in sports, for standing up for trans rights to Trump's face. Okay? Last Friday, Voldemort held a bipartisan White House event as part of the National Governors Association's Winter Summit. I watched the video exchange, okay? And essentially what was happening, Voldemort was standing at a podium, okay, in front of all of the governors, going on and on about men shouldn't be able to play in women's sports. Just being the normal transphobic person that he is. Then he goes on that he hears that Maine still hasn't changed any of their policies, and he asks if Maine is in the room. She says, yeah, I'm here. Then Voldemort begins threatening to strip all of their federal funding if they choose not to adhere to his executive orders. She stands up and says, we are going to follow state and federal law. Voldemort says, I am federal law. Woo! Come on, dictator. Show us who you really are, okay? He held nothing back. He said, I am the federal law. Now, if anybody who studies politics or knows government knows he is not the federal law. We're supposed to have checks and balances. There's a Congress, there's Senate, there's a Supreme Court, there's the president. Like, you are not, as a human being, federal law. But this is what 77 million Americans voted for. And so here we are. Now, Voldemort continues to reiterate to Maine's governor that if you continue to refuse, we are going to pull federal funding from your state. And she continues to say, we will follow state and federal law, and I'll see you in court. She says, I will see you in court, and takes a sip of water. You understand? Yes, she did. She stood up to him in his face in the White House. Now, I'm sure she was not expecting that. I'm also sure she may not have been ready for it, but she made herself ready for the moment, okay? She did not back down. She stood firm right there in that room. Right there in that room with some of the most powerful people in this country, and said, I'll see you in court, right to his face. Ooh, I loved it. I loved it. Okay. So thank you, Governor Mills and family. If you live in Maine, I promise you need to be calling her office and showing all types of support. Okay. Because she's going to need it. So Governor Mills, I hope you got your AG and your legal team ready, because that man is absolutely evil and he does not forget. But we got your back. We got your back. You did that. Okay. Now, family, I think this is a great time for us to take a quick break. Yes, and then when we get back, let's jump into culture and entertainment. Family, I want you all to take a minute and visit e3radio.fm. That's our official website. And I want you all to visit because our Director of Community Partnerships, Carter Cavazos, has written his first blog. And it is about our trip to Las Vegas for the Creating Change Conference. He talks about what the conference means to him, but also what we can be doing right now to sustain. He uses the word resiliency, which he admits he doesn't even like, but it encompasses what needs to happen right now. He gives us 3 tips, and I'm not going to give them to you. You got to read the blog. He also talks about our adventures in Las Vegas, the food, the shows, the food. Thank you, Visit Las Vegas, for such an amazing experience that we had. He shares pictures of our time together with also our fellow journalists who are covering queer culture and queer news across the country. It was an unbelievable, unforgettable time. Truly, thank you, Task Force. Thank you, Creating Change. Thank you, Visit Las Vegas, for the experience. And you got to read Carter's blog to really hear all about it.
It's exhausting trying to be productive all the time. Join me, Becca Rich, founder of the Holistic Time Coach, on Not Too Productive, as I, a recovering type A overthinker, overachiever, find the balance between getting things done and sustaining my well-being, presence, and joy. Every week, you can expect fun stories and countercultural insights and strategies that'll help you feel accomplished and enjoy your precious time on this earth. Subscribe now on the podcast app of your choice, and remember, don't be too productive. Life's too short to be busy all of the time.
Family, we have a sponsor for our February episodes, the Church Within a Church movement. This movement exists to combat the religious harm inflicted upon LGBTQ folks by the church. I joined them a couple decades ago, which is hard to believe, and I found them to be a beacon of light in some of the darkest places. With courage, integrity, and care, their purpose is to live justice through their work. And one way they do this is by welcoming LGBTQ clergy who have left or been kicked out of their denominations because of who they are and because of who they love. This year, they are ordaining 3 LGBTQ folks, and I'm so glad to know them and to know their work and how they care for others. So thank you, Church Within a Church, for your support of this work and your work in the world. And family, I look forward to telling you more about the Church Within a Church movement throughout Black History Month. If you want to learn more, visit cwac.us. That's cwac.us. Family, welcome back to the show. Now let's jump into some culture and entertainment. We actually got a story in from our tip line, so I want to show some love to Vicky today. Vicky actually hosts a show in Madison, Wisconsin on WORT 89.9 FM. Yes, I was able to listen to a little bit of it on SoundCloud, and this is Madison's longest running queer news and talk show. Yeah, she co-hosts it. It happens every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, and it's called Queery. So family, the tip is y'all should go check out Queery. Yes, from WORT 89.9 FM, and check out the work that Vicky is doing. Yes, they cover current news, local issues, provide resources, and she asked if I'd be a guest. I would love to be a guest, and please send a note because your audio got cut off on the tip line, so if you left contact information, I didn't receive it. So family, go and support this awesome resource, okay? I love that queer media exists. I love how we're existing in different places, and I listen to some of the work and it's fantastic. So go check it out. Thanks, Vicky, for the tip. Family, in our next story, I am so incredibly proud of Raquel Willis. You understand? She is the award-winning journalist, activist, and author who proclaims she is a proud Southern, Black, trans queer woman from Augusta, Georgia. Okay, yes, she does. And she was just named one of Time's Women of the Year. Yes, come on, Brian, insert some hand claps right here, okay? I think this is fantastic. And kudos to Time for recognizing Raquel as a trans woman for this particular honor. Her work, her activism, it's second to none. She refuses, okay? She refuses to give in. Yes, and she continues to be a leader every step of the way, even when it is incredibly unpopular. That is the person Raquel is. She says the riskiest thing she's done so far is choose to live authentically. She goes on to say our society is not primed to honor queerness or transness. During an ABC News Live interview about the honor, she reminds trans folks that no one can steal your power. She encourages everyone to lean into the fight, to find community if you don't have it, to learn about your history and know that you've already existed, and to remember that no one can steal your power without your permission. Own it and fight for it. She thanked Monica Roberts, she thanked Janet Mock, she thanked Laverne Cox, she thanked her sisters, she thanked her ancestors. Child, that is just who Raquel is. And let me tell you, the picture that they took of her for this moment is absolutely fierce, okay? It is fierce. Congratulations, Raquel, truly. And thank you for all the work that you do. And family, if you want to learn more about Raquel, I had the opportunity to actually be in conversation with her. And I've linked that interview in the show notes, and feel free to dig right in and buy her book, okay? The Risk It Took to Bloom on Life and Liberation. Family, if you've been listening to the Queer News Podcast for a while, you already know that Brittney Griner is one of our favorites, okay? And she has made the news this past week, not for Unrivaled, not for her basketball play, but because she decided to actually cancel a speaking engagement due to what seemed to be a threatening message left in her hotel room. Yeah, the message was written on some duct tape and stuck to a wall that read, "Gay baby jail?" Yeah, you heard me right. Gay baby jail. Now, given all the death threats, vile comments, and harassment she has literally experienced here in the United States after returning from Russia, it is not a surprise that after seeing this message on the wall saying baby gay jail, that she was like, I'm out. I'm going to have to decline. I am going home. Okay. But as it turns out, this might not have been a threat. Now, she was there to speak at the Women Grow Leadership Summit, a conference for women in the cannabis industry. And of course, she was going to talk about her experience in Russia, being criminalized, etc. Now, the CEO of this organization came out with a statement to Marijuana Moment that said, Brittney Griner arrived to be with us but felt unsafe because of threatening objects and words left inside her hotel room. For her safety, she chose to return home. Regardless of whether this was a targeted attack or an unfortunate coincidence, the entire Women Grow community and I wholeheartedly support Brittney's decision and stand with her at this time. Wonderful message from the CEO. I don't know what else she would have said, but that was well done. And as it turns out, it may not have been a threat. It just may have been an unfortunate set of circumstances. So I learned that this baby gay jail originated from a Tumblr meme that went viral over a decade ago, and there isn't any inherent bias associated with the meme. It's believed that it was left there after an anime convention that took place just a day before BG arrived, but it's still not clear why the cleaning staff didn't take it down or remove it. But either way, BG was like, I don't need any further explanations. I just need to go home. And that's real. That's real. Now, family, in Unrivaled news, the Rose, which is home to Chicago Sky very own Angel Reese, served the Luna Owls their first loss of the season. Angel made history, clocking the first 20-point, 20-rebound game in Unrivaled history with 22 points and 21 rebounds. Angel said, I gotta make history. Being able to see my growth, I put in the work, and a lot of people don't see what I put in. It's great to see the results out there, but obviously I'm not done yet. Obviously not. Let them know, Angel, okay? I saw a clip online during the press conference where Angel became emotional when asked what it means for her to be the quote-unquote it girl of basketball right now, right? For the next generation. She got emotional and reminded us that it's not easy being 22 and living the life that she's living. Yeah. But that she's up for it. And I was like, you better tell her, Angel, you are up for it. You was built for this moment, truly. And the more I see her, the more I really appreciate who she is in the world. And I'm so glad she's a part of the Chicago Sky. And I can't wait to see her play because I can already tell she's improved, okay? 150%. Now, as far as Unrivaled is concerned, we're just under a month from the playoffs, okay? The playoffs will begin on March 16th, and only the top 4 teams are gonna make it to the playoffs, and it is going to be tight. Teams like the Mist, okay? I'm a misfit, yes, and the Phantom have seemed to find their groove. Yes, they've been clocking up some wins, but all of these teams are good. This is the hard part with Unrivaled. All these teams could beat each other at any given moment. So it's going to be very interesting to see the final 4 teams that end up in the playoffs. Also, the league announced that there will be an end of the year awards. There'll be an MVP, there'll be a defensive player of the year, a coach of the year, and a first and second team honors. Yes, the winners will be decided by a combination of media, Unrivaled coaches and players, and a fan vote. And so, family, you can start voting for the MVP right now. I made my vote. You get to vote for the top 3, okay? I did mine. You should do yours. Yes, the voting will close on March 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern, all right? If you want to vote, a link is where? In the show notes. Eventually, y'all should just be saying it with me as you're listening. You should just know that I'm about to say in the show notes. All right, family, you know it's time for Anna's Got a Word because Anna's always got a word. And as we head into the last week of Black History Month, I want to leave you all with a word from Angel Reese. She is absolutely one of my favorite actors, period. And it's not just because she's a Black queer woman. No, she is absolutely brilliant. And this past week, she was accepting the award for excellence in the arts from the American Black Film Festival. And during her speech, she evoked the spirit of Shirley Chisholm. Yeah, the quote that Shirley Chisholm gave where she says, "If you don't give me a seat at the table, I'll bring a folding chair." Yes, and I personally love this quote, and I love it so much that I actually use it in my pitches for our startup, The Cube. And I use it as a way to bring people in that we don't want a seat at the table. We actually want to build our own tables. And if you want to join us, you're invited. Yes. And that was the spirit that Angel Reese brought with her speech. Yes. And I want to share it with you as we close out Black History Month, because I think it is a reminder to all of us. Yes. That we can build our own, that we don't have to wait on anybody, that no matter what the federal government is doing, no matter what the state may say about you and who you are and who you love, you still have the ability to build your own table, to sit wherever you want to sit, and we will continue to be great. Yes, I hope that's what you hear. Thank you, Angel Reese, and family, thank y'all for listening. Please be inspired by her words, and I really do hope that it helps you get through the week ahead, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow, okay? But hopefully this can stick with you for a little bit. Till next week, family. Peace.
The problem was with the structure that the wall was in, which represented colonization of Black life, Black community, and Black economics. What matters to me is not the picture on the wall, but the structure. Think about this. This is why these messages of another seat at the table is deaf to me. I don't want to hear that. I'm not interested in no seat at no table. I don't want the seat or the table. I want the structure. I want the land that the structure is on. Why? Because it's mine.
If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna Deshawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall, and brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.